But when it came to improv, I was beaten down from my failures in sales and just my confusion of what my career is. Like, I don't know if it was definitely areas of my confidence was just gone, and I didn't know how to get it back. And I knew there were no excuses for me to not do an improv class. I had the money. I love comedy. I always say I want to do. I was tired of talking about the things that I would do and not doing it. And I almost didn't do improv.
We talked about... So how you feeling? I mean, overall, how's it feel like to sort of, it's been a crazy last sort of year for you in a lot of ways. How's it feel to kind of like at this day?
It still feels very much like really just the beginning. Everything that's happened in the last year, would I guess you'd be like the introduction, and maybe not even that, like the preface. Like it was just, it was like setting the grounds for what all is to come, and I don't know what's going to come yet. So I'm at this point of it all pointed to, you're an extrovert, you're born natural seller, you have all of these abilities, and people would tell me that, and I'd just be like, maybe in my own head I was having imposter syndrome. I was like, I think these things are wrong. Because I don't feel like a natural born seller. And when I would be put in that environment, I had a job at American Eagle even, and I never bought clothes from American Eagle before. It was very hard for me to be in that and actually just get up there and go up and talk to somebody and like do something for them. It just happens, and again, like how I didn't realize what I knew, about anything when I started doing improv.
Is that something you're excited to sort of explore? Even doing it something at your job. Like, how do you see that playing out for you a little bit?
I do see it being like a long process, and maybe my initial thoughts are especially living in Atlanta, the startup communities is huge, and so I'm in a great spot for it, and I think that's where like improv training and building that environment, that's where you need to start, just at the beginning of a company. So I went and saw another show to like, well, maybe I'm not sure about it. Let's go see another show and just be sure that we do want to go do this. So I went and saw another show, and I was like, all right, I got to do this. And so I got close to like March time, and I was like, I'm gonna go to class, but do they have tickets open? How do I do this? Do I do this? So I Facebook messaged the Basement Theater, asking like to get like a final confirmation. I was always seeking that that validation from something that like, yes, just come, just do it, please. But they didn't respond to me at all. Like I got silence, and I was just like,
you were too afraid to pick up the phone and even
I
call,
wouldn't
right?
call.
Like,
I would not call. Like there's just phone calling is just not a thing. Like you don't just dial a number that you've never talked to before. You text somebody. I text my friends first to see if it's okay with calling them out. It's just like it's ingrained in our head. That's what's more polite. So a cold call is like,
and it's so funny from like someone who's like in sales to sort of have that, like, it's just again how interesting your job was. 100 calls a day, and yet you psych yourself out to be able to pick up a call and pay someone to sort of take a class with them, right? Like
it was like I feared maintaining a relationship, that way. I think that was, it was just like, is this a good way to start a relationship? And I was so worried about my own reputation, and which nobody knew. I worried about things that didn't matter, and really were non-existent. I just created it in my head. Luckily, for whatever reason, I just went to that first class and that first Monday in March, and just gave it a go. Even though I didn't get the Facebook message and the validation I wanted, I didn't call. I was just like, it's a 10-minute drive from my place. Worst case scenario is I leave and stuff if it was full. But I got there. I took the first class. I met people that a lot of them were in the same boat as me. Everybody in improv class a lot of them have their day jobs, and some people go because their therapist said, if you have social anxiety, it's a great way to get over that. It's there's only 6 or 7 of you in a class usually, maybe 15 if you get into a really big class, but it's a pretty intimate, like safe space, I guess, for you to just be goofy. But after that first class, I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this. I just hope I have ways to keep doing it for even longer.
And now it's kind of become part of your life, your job, all these things. Like, how do you see you know, in some ways the book sort of follows your life a little bit as you learn how to throw again, right? Like you learned how to throw strikes again, and that sort of first improv class kind of unlocked the key that was sort of missing for you. Why did improv sort of change your approach to selling, your approach to life in such a powerful way? And now how do you see that like playing out in what your book became about?
Yeah, it was like unlocked my it gave me permission to think creatively. You know, it was all the jobs that I'd had. It was, you know, it was very task driven, and there's like the objective is, it was never my objective. You know,
Right.
It was just the company's objective, the department's objective, whatever it was. I didn't have a connection to it, and so I was never allowed to have. None of those companies really, you know, like, it's not that they discouraged it, but they just didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was never on top to let you know, be who you are.
Yeah.
And improv sort of, I didn't even realize that I would never really had a chance to think creatively.
Yeah.
You know, I take ADHD meds to keep me out of the creative thinking mode.
Right.
You know, like people with ADHD are just more, you know, apt to be your creative thinkers and your brainstormers. We thrive off of that. We love that sort of environment. Sales and improv, business and improv, like something's got to come out of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you do a couple Google searches, you know, a little bit like detail, you know, specific searches for it, and there are quite a few books out there.
Yeah, there's books.
Turns out there's entire companies built on stuff like this, you know.
Yeah.
And I knew my improv, you know, the Basement Theater does corporate workshops as well, so there was always that element to it, and then it just became. At the same time, it's not like it's everywhere. You know, most I could find it. It was obviously a thing, but it hasn't really broken through in the way that I would like to see it happen, or that I think it would really benefit.
We talked